welcome back to another episode of Friends from Work. I am Tom, this is Sean, and on today's episode, we are going to be doing our top 5 most underrated shows. I'm going to start it off, Sean's going to go after me, we're going to go from 5 to 1, obviously. Now, before I do start this episode, I do have to warn you, heavy spoilers for the shows we talk about, so if you hear the name of the show, you haven't seen it yet, you're watching it, please just go to the next number and then carry on. I'll make sure I'll put timestamps in this video so you guys know what we're talking about or where we're talking about and when. And without further ado, I'm just going to get right into it. At number 5, I have Righteous Gemstones. I know it's a newer show. They're only on 2 seasons. They're third. They're about to
I think they just finished shooting the 3rd season,
Okay.
actually. I was looking up some stuff. I'm pretty sure they're either done shooting or almost done shooting season 3.
Okay, yeah. So, it's a very new show. It is on HBO Max. But the reason, also to give you a backstory of it, it's basically about, he said it the other day, it's like a Joel Osteen type, basically just showing the lavishes and very successful, rich life you have when you become a pastor. It's like a comedy drama
Yeah,
show.
it's about a rich pastor and his family, and it's like a succession scenario where like the oldest son is in line to take over, but the younger son wants it. The daughter kind of wants it, so it's just some of those shenanigans.
Yeah. And first off, the reason why I think it's underrated, they don't really advertise this a lot at all, in my opinion, with the cast they have. They have John Goodman, they have Adam Devine, they have Danny McBride. Like, those 3 there, like, John Goodman alone, if you just hear him in any
He's a
show, like,
goat.
that's a name. Like, that is a huge name. And they don't really acknowledge that at all, which I was really disappointed with. And then Danny McBride, I think he's seriously underrated. I think he's hilarious. And then Adam Devine, I said Adam Devine. He was most known for Modern Family.
I would say
Workaholics.
Yeah, I guess he
Yeah.
was in Modern Family.
I
Probably
just
be the
talked
most
about it,
popular.
yeah.
Pitch Perfect, he's in that as well.
Pitch Perfect. It was the second one, right, or the first?
He's in all of them.
Oh, he was.
Yeah.
Okay.
Maybe not in the 3rd one, but he's definitely in the first 2.
Yeah.
My wife's a big fan, so I've seen those. I don't know. I can't remember if he's in the 3rd one, but I'm positive he's in the first 2. He's in like a main character in the first one.
Yeah, I know. Okay. So then just the pacing of the show in general. I don't think, as I can recall, it's very new. So I haven't really rewatched. I've been watching older shows. I really can't recall a time where it really slacked. I feel like every episode, even if it was considered a filler, they really don't have any filler. It's just the side stories that they're helping to push along the main story. I thought the pacing was really good, and I think the comedy and drama is well balanced. Danny McBride, whenever he's in a show, when he's the main or the co-main, I think he does a really good job with balancing when shit's serious versus when it's not serious. And then really the unpredictable plots, too, on it. One thing was in this last season, Baby Billy Ray's kid that he had when he was young was Macaulay Culkin, the kid from Home Alone. That was just random. No one. We were all guessing like, oh, maybe it's gonna be this actor or this actor. No one thought it was gonna be the kid from Home Alone. Like, it was just random. And I really do think he's gonna play a big part in
one of the upcoming
season 3. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I think Righteous Gemstones is really, really good. I would classify it as underrated. We'll see in a theme in my top 5. I really only pick shows that were over, especially in this era too. You kind of gotta let shows be finished. But I do think as of right now, Righteous Gemstones is underrated. Like he said, they're not really promoting it at all. I don't think I've seen a single commercial or anything like that or a clip. I just thought that was odd because it's a really star-studded cast and it's really intriguing. Like House of Dragon, that's an HBO show, and I've seen
my God,
like unlimited amount.
Everywhere.
And I like House of Dragons. I think it's great, so I'm not saying anything about that. But they promoted that for a year and a half before it even came out. They've been promoting that, and like Succession gets nothing.
Yeah,
or not
no.
Succession neither. That's a good show on there as well. But Righteous Gemstone doesn't get any promotion. And like you said, it's really interesting, good plot, great cast of characters. The acting's great. A lot of improv comedy actors who are in it too, so I'm assuming that helps. Good villains, like I said, ever moving forward plot, which I like a lot, and I do think it's underrated. But with it not being over, I wouldn't have put it on my list. Just because, like I said, it's not over and people haven't had time to even know it's a show yet.
Yeah, the reason I like we just said, and I said earlier, is like it is an early show, so it is a little premature to do call it underrated. But I think it's going to be.
I do think it is underrated.
I think it's going to have one of those Office effects where it's
Maybe
not going to
later,
get love till maybe the final season or the last 2. But
I think that's the new vibe now. The thing that happened with Office, I think that's for the most part, unless it's heavily promoted, I think everything doesn't get popular till it's on. Like Lucifer didn't get popular till
Netflix
season
said
3,
it,
4.
yeah.
Supernatural didn't get popular till Netflix kicked off season. I would say Supernatural didn't get really popular probably till like season 7 or 8. You know what I mean? Like halfway through. So I think that's just the new vibes. Like, so it's hard to put a show like Righteous Gemstones on there just because I think it's great. It is underrated because nobody knows about it, but I don't think anyone's going to know about it till it's over.
Yeah, my also with the delayed effect, and then what we keep saying is like the advertisement is. I've seen like advertisements even for. I have another show on here. I've seen other shows that have.
Succession has a few. I've seen a few,
Okay.
not good ones, but like just on like some website or something.
Only
I haven't seen any Righteous Gemstones
Only
ever.
time I've seen, I used to have Barry on here as number. I do recommend it. Let's call it an honorable mention. But only time I seen advertisements for Succession, Righteous Gemstones, and Barry, thank you, was when Emmys was around. Like they were naming it off because all these shows got Emmy nominations. But even then, like that's just for like the upper class. You don't see Billy over here watching like it. I was just really disappointed, especially with that cat like John Goodman alone. Like everyone, like I know him, and obviously he does because he's old. But like it's just like it's a known name. Like you can throw it in there. Like
Danny McBride too, Adam. Like I said, it was weird that they're not promoting it. Maybe they just didn't want to waste any budget on it. They're like, if people watch it, they watch it.
Maybe.
They didn't want to spend any money because they're probably paying the cast a lot of money, I'd imagine.
But yeah, and then I guess the last point I have, I gotta do a couple more points before I move on. Well, he does his number 5. The guest stars they have on, I think it's extremely underrated. Eric Andre, he was in this last season. I think he was hilarious.
He did a great job.
Honestly, a perfect part for that cast.
It was a perfect fit too. Of like, I didn't really like. I always thought he was like a shitty actor, but I mean, he did do it. I guess it was. He was playing like he was kind of shitty, but he did a good job. Yeah, that's a good example. Yeah, they played to his strengths, and he was really good. I liked it a lot. He was a good guest. Macaulay Culkin we're talking about.
That was another one I have on here.
There's a few other people, other visiting pastors.
Malone, I don't know how to say his last name. Dermot. He was in Shameless. He dated Fiona. Dermot Mulroney. Sorry if he's watching. He's probably not, but apologies for mispronouncing your last name. But he was the season 1 pastor in the little church.
Yeah.
There's a lot. The actor who plays, he's not really a guest star. I guess he is. He's in some of it. He's a series regular now. The guy who plays Baby Billy Ray.
Yeah, Uncle Baby Billy, not
Uncle
Baby Billy Ray.
Whatever.
It's Uncle Baby Billy. He's the pastor. He's a very good character. So,
Yeah.
but I definitely highly recommend Righteous Gemstones. It's a great show. Really funny, really interesting plot. Good writing. Like
And
I said,
Danny McBride
very
is underrated.
relatable characters. There's a lot of dynamics you can relate to. That's also, I think, is a good show when you have a lot of characters who all can relate to. Like might not all be religious, but we all know about religion, so you can watch the show and know you got a grandma who's crazy or whatever. And we all got, I won't say we all do, but most of us have siblings, and our parents have favorites and things like that. And it's just, it plays on a lot of those dynamics.
So yeah, number 5, I'm gonna write it up as Sean explains his, but my number 5 is Righteous Gemstones. Sean, you can start with your number 5.
All right, for my number 5, I had The 100, the show on CW. I think it went 7 seasons. I don't think any of them win a full 20, maybe one of them. One of my favorite shows, a really interesting plot. I can admit it's kind of soap opera at times and all over the place, but as you'll see in these videos, as we get more and more, I put a lot of stock in an ever more forward-moving plot, not being stagnant and staying. Like a lot of shows, I think their problem is like they have a really successful season. They're like, we're just gonna keep doing that over and over again. And I think the 100, they kind of do that, but they don't. Like it's always some like they might have similar plots, but it's always fresh new enemies, fresh new place, and but. To give it a little overview, it's kind of like Lost, but it's about a post-apocalyptic world where a bunch of nukes get set off and survivors get sent off into space in a spaceship to survive and live forever, I guess, and maybe I think 200 or 300 years pass, and they send a group of kids back down to see if the Earth is habitable because their spaceship is running out of oxygen, so they have no choice. The Earth isn't supposed to be livable, but they send a group of delinquent children down. That's why it's called the 100. It's 100 juvenile delinquents. They send them down. Like I said, it's kind of like a Lost scenario, and they get down on Earth, and it's them trying to navigate what's happened in the last 200 years and the new people who live on the Earth and things like that. Like I said, number 5 It's really interesting. I do think it's underrated. It was on the CW. Not a lot of people have seen it, but I think that a lot of people would like it. It's very relatable, and it's just like I said. Lost was a very popular show, and I think it's just Lost with attractive teenagers, young teenagers playing the main characters.
Canceled. Yeah, I haven't yet to watch it. It's a inside joke between us, or just me just being stubborn. He's been telling me to watch it for probably about 2 years now. Forbid to watch it. It's the only reason. If we get a good amount of, I don't know what goal set yet, but if we get X amount of subscribers, whatever we set that goal, then I'll watch it.
Yeah, we'll figure that out. Yeah, comment down below. Everybody tell Tom to watch the 100.
But yeah, I believe you can find it on Netflix if you do want to watch it.
Yes, it is on Netflix.
Yeah, all seasons, obviously. But yeah, so at number 5, he has the 100. And you can watch it on Netflix. Check it out. Let me know how it is. I will not watch it. Alrighty. And at number 4, I have a show called Good Girls. It's basically about 3 moms, middle-class moms who are living day-to-day lives. They have some financial troubles, and they decide to stick up a grocery store. And it turns out that grocery store was a laundering front for this cartel. It was on APC. Unfortunately, it did get canceled abruptly. Well, they canceled after they finished season 4, but it left a cliffhanger, so now we're never going to get that resolved. And let me go into it. So if you've seen you've seen the show Weeds, it has a really good balance of like Weeds and Breaking Bad, and with a tad bit more realism to an extent, like how they interact with their kids. You see a lot how more they interact with their kids. That's the whole thing, is like their moms being criminals, basically. And I really like that dynamic. It was just good because you always see more so like the kids kind of pop in, but the kids are like a big part of the series. I just thought that was a different take. Like Breaking Bad, really, he's like, oh, I care about my kids, but like it's really about him. Same thing with Weeds. Like the kids were older. Like all the kids in here are like 5 to 10, if that. And the cast was really good, and their chemistry on screen was really good. We had Rita. She was on Parks and Rec. Christina Hendricks, most known for her role in Mad Men. And then Matthew Lillard, Saw, voice of Shaggy.
He's not the I guess he is the voice of Shaggy.
He also did play live action
But he
Shaggy.
was actually Shaggy.
Yeah.
I don't know if he was the voice.
Well,
also, fun
that.
fact, we got this in the first cut, but Matthew Lillard, my 8th grade language arts, I guess it was called then. I don't know if they still call it language arts,
whatever.
but English teacher taught him. So I had met him once. He would come. She was one of his favorite teachers. He's from Illinois, and he would come every year and visit her class and give her some cookie points or whatever, brownie points with the students. But personally, I've never seen Good Girls. I've heard good things. I was kind of scarred from Weeds, and like you said, it gave me Weeds vibes, so I didn't really watch it. Cartel and money laundering really isn't my cup of tea either, really, and when watching a show, just because I think it's been done so much that I always find myself knowing what's going to happen.
Yeah.
But it does get good ratings. I've seen some clips here and there, a lot of good actors and actresses in it, and Tom always recommends it. So
yeah, I really like the comedy. Well, because Rita and I don't know, all those 3 interact with each other, are just a really good dynamic. Yeah, it was a cable show, so there's always going to be filler. I believe the first 3 seasons had like 16 episodes, but this last season had 22. So with that, seeing that, I think it gave me the impression that they were going to cancel it, and that's why they did a little extra. I don't know. But 22 was a lot. They did have a few more fillers in the last season, but that's going to happen with a lot of shows in general, especially on cable TV.
Yeah, if you're on 5 or 7, they want 20 episodes out of you.
But the reason it did I did do research, so you guys don't have to. The reason it did get canceled was because the 3 main girls, Rita, Christina Hendricks, and I forgot the other girl's name. This show was kind of her takeoff, in my opinion, so wasn't really a big name. No offense. I mean, anyways, they all agreed to take a pay cut, but Manny Montana, he would not agree to take a pay cut, which was the reason of their cancellation, because the show had X amount of budget and the guy was trying to get a raise, even though he was like a co-main, but he like
So silly because
Yeah.
isn't a pay cut better than zero?
yeah, like it was just ridiculous. I made sure like I read one article. I was like one gossip article doesn't match up, and so I made sure I read several, made sure everyone had the same story. Looked like everyone had the same story. So if you want to be upset with the guy who plays the leader of the cartel. But yeah, other than that, I would recommend it. It is on Netflix, all 4 seasons. I apologize if you do watch it and you see the ending. I'm not going to spoil the ending, but that is the series finale. Can't really get much out of that. So yeah, at number 4, I do have Good Girls. I recommend to watch it. And then
What's it on Netflix?
Yeah, Netflix.
Netflix. Yeah, I thought it was on Netflix. All right, my number 4 is another show that is finished. It's The Magicians. It was on Sci-Fi. I'm a big fan of the sci-fi genre in general.
Yeah.
I usually don't like shows on the Sci-Fi Channel, but in my opinion, this is by far their best one. The Magicians is about a magic school in a magic world. I would describe it as a rated MA mix of Harry Potter and the Chronicles of Narnia, but like I said, with an adult twist. It's about an adult school for magicians. But they're like college age students, so it's, you know what I mean, drinking, drugs, sex is mixed in there. It's rated MA, I believe, so there's some little nudity, violence.
Boobies.
But it's very interesting, very interesting storyline. If you like magic, you like wizards, stuff like that, you're definitely going to like it. It borrows a lot from Chronicles of Narnia and Harry Potter, you know, to make a play on that. I mean, that's what people like, so they're smart to go off of that. Very great cast. It's really diverse. They got something for everybody. I think everybody can relate to it. There's a nerdy, shy kid. There's a nerdy, you know what I mean, a nerdy girl who's shy, a hot chick, a gay guy, a black guy, a Indian dude. You know what I mean? Like with all the personality traits as well. Or like a nervous person, a brave guy, a mean girl. Like, so there's a character for everybody, and it's a really interesting storyline that they go through a lot of different things. Each season, I think, is unique. The finales are always very well. And like I said, just very interesting and very underrated. And I think it doesn't get a lot of limelight because it's on Sci-Fi.
Yeah, I remember we have a mutual friend. You and Gertie would talk about it a lot,
Yeah.
right? Yeah, is it Netflix?
Yes, I do think it is on Netflix. It was on Netflix. I haven't seen it in a while. I don't know,
Yeah.
a lot of stuff's been canceled off there. But when I finished it, it was on Netflix. Yes.
Okay.
But
How
it
many-
originally aired on Sci-Fi.
How many is it done? Or you just
Yeah,
said
it is
it's
done. It's
Yeah.
5 seasons. I don't think any of them more than 10 episodes,
Okay.
maybe 10 or 12, but none of them are 20. They're all pretty short, so you can probably binge it pretty quick. But I highly recommend, especially if you like the sci-fi genre, you like magic, you like if you like the Chronicles of Narnia, I definitely think you'd like The Magicians.
Yeah, I haven't heard about it too much. I've never watched it, so I can't really give my 2 cents on it. He recommended it to me a little bit, but then during that time, I think a lot more shows came out, and that one kind of got thrown on the back burner for shows to recommend each other. But yeah, so go check it out. It is. Let us know if it is on Netflix. We forgot to check. But yeah, then at number 3. Yeah, we're on number 3. At number 3, again, this is a little premature cancellation show, unfortunately. But I do have a show called Daybreak. It was a Netflix original series. Basically, it was Ferris Bueller meets Walking Dead. The main character, just basically a bunch of high schoolers in a zombie apocalypse.
A unique zombie apocalypse where only the adults died,
Yes.
or only the adults turned into zombies.
Yeah. And it only had 1 season. I personally think it got canceled extremely early, but Netflix operates differently. It's weird. Like it's about
Yeah, it got
viewership in
canceled
the
probably
first
like
week.
2 months after it aired. I'm
Yeah.
guessing they just have like an algorithm where like if it doesn't get enough heat in the first month after
Yeah,
if
it was
they
like the
put it
first
on
2
the
weeks or something
if they
like
put
that.
it on the main page and put it on the top 10, if it doesn't get enough heat, I'm assuming they just scrap it. I think they should have I think a lot of their shows that they scrap, I think they should give it a year or two, especially in
Yeah.
this new realm. Like people just don't watch stuff. They watch it. They got a backlog of stuff that they're trying to finish, and
Yeah.
eventually they'll get to it. But I agree with a lot of the things Tom said about Daybreak. Not to interrupt.
No. So yeah, with Daybreak, it really had a good blend of again comedy and drama. I really enjoyed that, or like comedy and like high school patriarchy. Is that what you call it? What's
It wouldn't be pay. It would be hierarchy.
Hierarchy,
Yeah, the
thank you, not
hierarchy in high
patriarchy.
school. Well, that's again, even though if you're not in school, we all can relate to that. So
yeah, we all went. He went to in 1955. I went in the 2010s. But yeah, I really enjoyed it, and the show knew what it was. Like it, there's two big scenes. Spoiler alert: the big bad of this show was Matthew Broderick, who famously played Ferris Bueller, and he was also the principal of the show. So you knew he was in it.
Yeah,
but
it
you
gave
didn't know
they stole from Ferris Bueller because, like I said, the main character, there's a lot of third wall breaking, like kind of like Ferris Bueller, where he's talking to the camera and stuff like that. And then, like I said, to have Bueller playing the principal.
Yeah, and they knew that.
Yeah.
I guarantee you, the pitch was like, "Hey, we're doing Walking Dead, but you're playing Ferris Bueller." Or like it's something like that. It was really funny. And then there was a scene when the main character was about to cut off his hand because he got bit, and the little girl said to him, "He's like, this isn't The Walking Dead. You'll be fine." Like it was like there's little things. They knew what the show was, and they would call themselves out. And I think it's fun to have fun with yourself, not take yourself too seriously, or like you knew who you were. And the only bad part of the show, and we've talked about this countless times since we've seen the last episode, it was really just the last 2 minutes when the love interest was like, "I'm in charge," after like the all-star quarterback was running the whole show. She's like, "No, I don't love you. I'm a woman. I run it." And then that was that. And then it ended.
It was a very weird ending. Yeah, so basically the whole story is this guy, zombie apocalypse, there's only kids left, and he's looking for the love of his life, or whatever. They make it seem like that the girl he likes, she's basically the damsel in distress the entire movie.
Yeah.
And then he said the final 2 minutes, she's like, "I'm the boss now," and like everyone's like, "Yeah, we're listening to her." It's like we're just trying to save the whole time. It's just silliness. I don't know. For the life of me, like I said, so for a show that was so unique and well put together, that didn't make any sense. It was a really interesting take on the apocalypse because it was only kids, and it shined a light on the sense that like all kids are just mostly good. They'll team up eventually, but you know what I mean. They're not evil, and most kids are just not evil in nature. And that I think that was more of the moral of it. But yes, the ending was horrible. I'm assuming that kind of played a part in its cancellation because I'm assuming it got low views, and then the people who actually did do it were unhappy with the ending. And I just feel like they had so many ways they could go, and they just picked the like what nobody wanted, and then that made no sense. And
that's such an easy fix to like. You can write anything and everything. Like you can like, oh, one adult's alive and he shoots it with the arrow, the season premiere, or like he always talks about like kids from Compton.
Yeah, it was in like a nice suburban area in LA or something, and I always thought like, oh, after it was all over, the kids from the bad neighborhood showed up and like, you know what, we're in charge now. Or like one of the spoilers, one of the young girls, her mom was in a submarine, and they kept making a point to like her mom's in a submarine, like I thought it was foreshadowing, meaning like in the final episode her mom was gonna pop back up. Like they could have did so many things, and I think they picked a weird
it could have easily been fixed. Like I
don't think that's what I said. They didn't give it a fair shot. I think they could have just started it back up and been like, oh, we're not doing that anymore.
It was a very premature break.
But that one, I don't think I would agree with Tom on it being a top 3 underrated. I don't think it was underrated. I think it was poorly executed in the end, and it shot itself in the foot. And I don't think it got enough time to even get a rating. Like I think to be underrated, you have to be properly rated, and I don't even think Daybreakers rated it. Its run was so short that it didn't even get rated at all.
I mean, I disagree with him. I think
I do think it's a great show. I liked it a lot. We talked about it. I binged through it. I think I watched that in maybe a day, 2 days. I got through it pretty quickly.
It was during summer.
It was 10. Yeah, it was 10 episodes, right?
Yes, 8 to 10 something.
Yeah,
like
8 to 10 episodes, and I got through that pretty quick. It was very easy to watch. Ever moving forward storyline, very interesting. You probably never seen anything like it, but they just, like I said, it was poorly executed in the end, and I think they shot themselves in the foot like that.
Yeah, so I'll wrap my point up here. I do recommend you watch it. It'll be sad to see it go. Yeah. It is on Netflix. Hopefully they didn't cancel that. But yeah, I'm gonna write mine on here, and we'll get into Sean's number 3.
All right, my number 3, I have Sherlock. It's on BBC. It's, you know what I mean. It's called Sherlock, so I'm guessing you know what it's like. It's starring Benedict Cumberbatch. Cumberbatch, right? Yeah, not Patch. Sour Patch. Benderlin.
Idiot.
But I think this is one of his earlier things. What kind of got him
I think
going?
this took him off.
It's 4 seasons. That I think it took them about 12 years to shoot. I'm not, and that's not a joke. I mean, that's like it might be a joke, but it's a little hyperbole.
Were you
like
leaning
maybe
away from my cough?
I don't know.
Ew, kitty.
He's gonna get me with the. I can't say it. They got Sneeko canceled. It's very interesting take on Sherlock. It's a new age take on Sherlock. Like he's got an iPhone. It's in 2010. Like I said, it's 4 seasons. Took him about 10 years to shoot, at least. It might be more.
Because it was like
3,
a movie each.
Yeah, it's 3 episodes each season. But they're 90 minutes each. They're basically a movie. So it's more like a 10 episode type of thing. But it's 3 episodes. They're basically all their own little movies and mysteries. The cast is just amazing. If you're a traditional Sherlock fan, you'll love it. If you've never seen anything Sherlock related, I'm sure you'll like it as well. Cumberbatch plays the shit out of Sherlock. He's extremely impressive, and he embodies the character. I think the guy who plays Watson does a great job as well. The head police chief, the guy who plays Moriarty, the bad guy, is great. It's just, I don't really have anything bad to say about it. Highly underrated because I don't think anybody really knows about it. And I can't, if you're a fan of just good writing and quality like content, that's just a really good show. I can't imagine somebody watching that and just not liking it at all.
Yeah, I've always wanted to watch it. He's always recommended it, and I'm intrigued by it. But the thing that turns me off, just because of time constraints, is the long ass
9
episodes.
minutes, yeah.
Like it's pretty hard, especially now for me with the podcast. At least just dealing.
I
with
think just people in general now are just programmed. They don't want to sit and watch anything for 90 minutes.
Yeah.
Movies. People don't watch a lot of movies anymore. But like, and I haven't watched these in a long time. I think season 4 ended 4 years ago, 5 years ago, maybe. I think they're hinting that there could be another one.
But especially now with Benedict Cumberbatch, he's just so busy with Doctor Strange.
And I mean, probably other things too.
Yeah. So I wouldn't keep your hopes up for another season, but I wouldn't also be surprised.
Like I said, I did a little research, and there's whispers, nothing locked in. But the writer, I know he definitely wants to do more. I don't know so much about Sherlock himself, but I highly recommend it. Like I said, I think it's a very underrated show. Like I said, quality, writing, acting. To me, it's one of the best shows there is in general, beginning to end. It's really short too, even though they're 90-minute episodes. There's 4 seasons, 3 episodes each. So you know what I mean. That's still not that much.
Not too bad. Yeah.
You can burn. You know what I mean. That's still shorter than any show out you're gonna watch.
Yeah,
so
you're gonna binge 10 seasons.
But some of them is a little slow burn. It's a drama. There's really no comedy. Like he says funny
Smart
things,
shit, yeah.
but yeah, like in smart ass fashion. It's not a comedy. It's a drama. It's also a detective drama.
mystery
There's some
drama.
lulls, but there's obviously no filler. There's only 3 episodes, but it's a mystery drama with sometimes the pacing's a little slow. It might drag for 10 minutes. You know what I mean, here or there occasionally. But one of the best shows you can watch. BBC does make high quality shows as well.
They do. I will agree with it. There was a show on BBC. Oh, Peaky Blinders is one.
Yeah, Doctor Who.
Yeah, Doctor Who. I never watched Doctor. They have 15 seasons. I'm never gonna try to.
Abington. What's that other one? I don't watch the other one, but Abington something.
Oh yeah.
I don't watch it, but I know it's popular.
I've heard
Like,
that guy.
and it's just like, I don't know why it's so popular. It's just about like some rich old people doing it. I don't know. People just love the freaking
we love the British accent.
the British accent.
So much about them.
They just watch them like they're just eating tea or drinking tea and eating crumpets, and people are cheering.
It's a Martin, isn't it? But yeah, there's another show on BBC that was bought by Netflix called End of the Effing World. That's not on my list. I think it was properly rated. But yeah, I don't know where I was going with that. There's name of BBC shows. But yeah, other than that, you got any other points?
No, not at all. Number 3, Sherlock. Like I said, it could be higher. Honestly, it probably should be, but the next 2 are like 2 of my personal favorites. And even though I think Sherlock might be better than them, I just think, like I said, I have a little bias.
It's a
little bias to it. But I think Sherlock's one of the best shows there is out there.
Alrighty, and now we are on to number 2. And as we're about to get number 2, do me a favor if you made it this far, leave a like down below. Subscribe if you haven't subscribed after watching us 30 minutes in. What are you doing?
Yes.
Anyways, so
I always tell myself that when I'm watching YouTube
Yeah,
videos,
I'm
where I'm
already
like,
in this
and they
deep.
say it, I'm like, why didn't I? Like, it's liking and subscribing is free. Like,
yeah, it's not, we
what's
ain't
worst
gonna
case
hurt you.
scenario? We annoy you. We spam you with content.
Yeah,
you
we
can
are- you'll be
unfollow
enjoyed.
us if you don't like 10 of our
Don't
videos.
unfollow us. Stay. Sit while end you. Alrighty. For number 2, we had a conversation about this before. I have Eastbound and Down. This is a show that came out, I would say, mid-2000s, around that time.
I think
like
it was.
2007,
No, I think it's
8,
more. No, it's definitely older than 7. I think it'd be
5,
2010,
6. Oh, okay.
2010, 12. What is it? 4 seasons?
Yeah.
I think it
4
ended
seasons.
about 5 or 6 years ago.
Okay.
So.
But yeah, so basically it is about Danny McBride is the star and the writer. That's why I say he's underrated. He has a lot of great like drama or comedy dramas.
Yeah, especially on like HBO where
Yeah.
he can't be censored and he
No,
can just,
just
go with his
says whatever
imagination.
he wants.
Eastbound and okay, go ahead. Sorry.
But yeah, Eastbound and Down's about like a delinquent baseball player, just constantly doing drugs, just partying, doing the typical like all-star stuff. He was a great player. Then he pretty much ate shit, went back home, and was trying to get his life back together, but he still had his ego there. It was a cool dynamic seeing him with his ego when he was since he's a has-been with his regular folk, and just all the antics and stuff he would get into was really funny. And the thing I always say, and I'll say it again, I really do think Danny McBride is criminally underrated, and I underrated him myself. I just saw him in a couple movies with Seth Rogen and stuff like that. Will Ferrell was Lost to the Lands or something like that.
Land of the Lost.
So-
That's the one you picked. Isn't it much a better one?
well, yeah, I just said this is the end too. Like, there's a bunch of stuff he's in, and he was like a funny guy. But after watching like all his shows, and there's another one that I still have to watch. It's called Kindergarten Teacher. Same thing. He's the writer and star of that, and I want to watch that because I've seen 2 of his shows already, Righteous Gemstones and Eastbound and Down, and he's
killing it.
killing it.
Eastbound and Down is definitely great. I do think it's underrated, but I would say it's a man show. I don't think if you're not a man or like a young man, you probably wouldn't even get a lot of the humor. Or just not think it's funny. It's a lot of slapstick.
It's very raunchy, edgy, yeah.
fart, dick jokes, kind of stuff like that. But it is hilarious, especially like I said, he knows who his audience was for this,
Yeah.
and he wasn't afraid to do that. I think a lot of people nowadays, they try and make their work for
Yeah,
everybody
there's very few
instead of making their content just for the people who like their content. I
Yeah.
think a lot of people should focus more on that instead of trying to make this perfect piece of content
Yeah,
that everyone's gonna like.
that
Like no,
appraises to the masses.
even when you make this socially acceptable content, somebody's gonna not like it. They're gonna
Yeah.
say you're being too nice. Somebody's gonna find a claim. And I think
Like-
Danny McBride does a good job of just doing what he thinks is funny and I think he knows what average people think is funny,
Yeah.
especially average men, and he just does that, and he doesn't let the idea that I might get canceled or my show might not do good get in the way of him doing what he think is actually funny.
Yeah. We're kind of going off his point with like trying to appease everyone. A big person who I think does that. She doesn't have really a show. She had Ellen, but like Ellen herself, like I remember like all the things like she's always being super nice, and then like there's like a clip of her like being an asshole, and she's like, "Oh my God, burn her!" Like
Yeah.
it's just stuff like that.
Because eventually you're gonna get to a point where the truth comes out. It's like, so
Right.
what's the point even faking it?
trying to fake it. Like if you're a dick, just be a dick.
But yeah, Eastbound and Down is hilarious.
It
I do
is
think it's
so
underrated. I
funny.
think it will never get its shine because of how
No.
raunchy it is. You can't like all the funniest things and best things that happen in the show. You can't even put online.
Yeah,
They're like,
I don't think
they would get taken down if
I
you put the
don't
clips
think
up.
it
Like,
will get mainstream success, but I will disagree with clips. I think there'll definitely be clips at some. I hope so.
I mean, they're
I
when
hope
in
so.
10 years the show's
don't-
been like
I
where are
don't
they
know.
at?
I don't
That's
know.
what I'm saying.
I'm
Like
just saying at
me
some
and him
point,
live
I
on
think-
social media, and I don't see the clips. And I think it's great. I just think it's too raunchy. Like it's a lot of like sexist, pseudo racist.
It's so funny.
Like you know what I mean? Like and
It is
it's really funny. It's just like I now that I think about it, I really haven't seen any like reels or anything and there's so many moments that are like hilarious.
There was a season when he was in Mexico, and he was like, "Oh yeah, I speak perfect Spanish." And
Yeah,
he'd be
he's just like-
"Cómo estás, chimichanga?"
Yeah, he's just
Stuff
being like
that.
super racist.
It
Like
is just so funny.
yeah, I agree with Tom though. That's a very underrated show. I think it's got a limited fan base though. I think it's like dudes from 16 to 50 will like that show. I don't Like, no, I'm not super sexist, but I just don't think that's a show
hates women.
women will like. My wife would definitely not like that
My
show.
mom would
but-
not like it. Okay, yeah.
Like my wife
My
would.
mom would be like, "This is stupid."
Yeah, exactly. Girls be like, "This is stupid. Why do you think this is funny?" And like,
Like,
I'm
why
like
don't
rolling
you?
on the floor laughing, and
It
it's just
is
like,
so
"Why is this
funny.
funny?" But that is a good one. I
Yeah.
highly recommend Eastbound and Down. It's
It-
been over for a while.
It's on HBO
It came out in like
Max.
the 2010s, and it has 5 seasons?
4,
and none of them are more than 10 episodes. I'm pretty sure. I think
Yeah,
they're-
there really wasn't filler, and I think the pacing of the show went really well. Like, it didn't really drag. Like, I think this one never. I don't think it got canceled. I think Danny McBride.
I think he was just done. I don't know if it got canceled.
I think he just had a point to get from point A to point B, and he told that story very well. And maybe that's, I don't know. I haven't watched Kindergarten Teacher yet. Maybe that's why I only had 2 or 3 seasons, because he had a certain story to tell. So that's why I like Danny McBride. He doesn't really milk it out. He's like, I have the story I want to tell. He tells it and then dips. So, but yeah, I would recommend it. It's on HBO Max. That is my number 2 pick. Eastbound and Down, starring Danny McBride. Watch it or die. Sean, tell your number 2.
All right, number 2 for me. One of my favorites. One of the shows that really got me into binge watching shows. I remember getting coming across this DVD in the box set and binge watching season 5 or something before I went back and started watching them all. But Scrubs, to me,
Boomer.
I think is very, very underrated show. It's old. It started, I think, in the early 2000s. It ended in about I would say 2012, something like that. I know it had 10 seasons. Starring Zach Braff, Donald Faison, a few other people you might know. The cast had great synergy. They worked so well together. The improv they did. I think the writing and the comedy was way before its time. I still, to this day, I don't think there's a show quite like it. The way they put together their show. Would
you compare it to like an Office? Or
I think it. I'm surprised that
Parks and Rec?
it didn't have an Office-like run after. I think, again, it's one of those shows it came out in the early 2000s and it's got.
Well, it never got shot.
It's got too
not
many-
on Netflix. I think that's why
It's on
Office-
Hulu.
Oh, okay, wait.
Yeah, but I guess Hulu wasn't around then.
Yeah.
I think it used to be on Netflix though. I think at one point
It
everything was on
Netflix.
Netflix. Yeah, everything was
I
on
remember
Netflix.
that.
I just think it's too long. There's 20 episodes, 10 seasons each one.
Yeah.
I think that kind of scared people away. The
But
Office
it
is
was
like
20 minutes, right?
Yeah, but The Office, like season 1's 6 episodes, and the next
Yeah.
one's like, you know what I mean. And after you watch that, then it's 20, and then it's 20, then it's like.
But you're enjoying it. at
Yeah,
that point.
and it was,
yeah.
and I think it was right before the Netflix wave. I don't know what it is. I would compare it to The Office. I think it is the same quality of cast. I think the writing is quite similar. That would be the only show I could compare it to. It's got quirkiness. It's got what I would consider the best bromance all in TV. Of all TVs, Donald Faison and Zach Braff, they're like best friends, the godfather of their children in real life now.
That's awesome.
But I think it's a great show, great mix of comedy and drama. I don't normally like medical shows because they're just extremely predictable. But I watched that more of a comedy. But as time went on, I would do some research and realize it was actually a pretty accurate medical show. When anytime they were doing anything medical related, which was a lot, they were in a hospital. That it was pretty accurate. They were the surgeries they were doing were the same. The cases they were going over were real. You know, I mean, some were based on real life things. But I think the cast and their ability to work together is unmatched. I think they all stayed together for all 10 seasons. I don't think anybody left. I think one of the main characters died at some point in the middle of it, and they gave her like a farewell. But that was really it.
Like that in real life?
Yeah, I think she died
Wow,
in real life.
Jesus.
She was an older nurse.
Oh, okay.
So she died, like, something happened and she died.
Right,
And they were like, but besides that, like, all the main characters lasted the entire time. They were getting their full 20 episodes every season for the most part.
Was
It
it
got a
on
traditional ending.
NBC?
Yeah, it was on NBC and ABC. It was on one and then the other one bought it. I
Okay.
can't remember. I think it was on ABC first, then NBC.
Okay.
But I know it was on one then the other, but I can't remember. I think it was ABC then NBC.
Okay.
But I think it's one of the best shows, the best sitcoms there ever was. It had laugh track vibes, but they didn't have a laugh track. Like occasionally they would,
I
but
hate
like
laugh tracks.
to make light of it would be like, haha, this is the
Make
time we
fun
would
of
play
it.
a laugh
Yeah,
track,
make
and
fun
like
of
yeah,
it.
they're like, but it wasn't, like I said, it wasn't a super. It didn't actually have a laugh track. Very like they would Zach Braff, the main character, he would have these little daydreams where goofy stuff would happen, and they would bring it to life. And I knew that was just them like improv and be
Messing
like,
around, yeah.
this would be great if we put this in. And I think it's really relatable. And I think everyone can enjoy it. I don't think it's like for boys or for girls. There's love, there's comedy, there's brotherhood, there's saving people, all type of stuff. Dad figures, mom figures. I just think it's one of the best shows there ever was.
Yeah, unfortunately, Sean and I, at least on my list, you can interject. So I do the best I can, but I really have not watched any of these shows, especially the 100. Burn It All to Hell.
Yeah, and I've watched all his shows. Well, I didn't watch Good Girls.
Good Girls is fire.
But
Yeah.
Scrubs, I highly recommend. Like Sherlock, I think Scrubs and Sherlock possibly could even be above what I'm going to have for number one. Like I said, I think Scrubs is criminally underrated. I think it just came in between like Friends and The Office, and it kind of got left in the past. Like
Yeah.
the Friends crew transition.
I will say, I think if 'cause I've seen a few clips. I'm not saying it's not funny. I've seen clips, and I know Zach. I don't know him, but I know of Zach Braff, and I've seen stuff of his. He's a funny guy.
I think it was before his time. I think his comedy.
If it dropped same time,
As The Office.
and got on that
Yeah,
on
I
that
do
Netflix
think-
trend, I think he
Yeah.
definitely.
It was
would've
like a
been bigger.
quirky, nerdy comedy where like
Yeah.
it was about it all. It was before like shows used to always be like the main character was like a badass. And
Yeah.
like Zach Braff and Donald Faison were like they got girls, but they were like and they were doctors, but they were just
Yeah.
huge like nerds. Like
yeah, little geeks.
yeah, exactly. And it worked. And like I said, a great show. I said I still follow Donald Faison and Zach Braff to this day. I always, like I said, they're best friends in real life, and it shows in the show. I'm assuming they became best friends as through the
Right.
show, but that's why the show's so good. You could tell because all
Their
these
chemistry's
guys were
really
like
well.
best friends,
Yeah.
like, and still to this day.
You
I
know
think they
what?
actually have a podcast too now where they go over.
I wouldn't be surprised.
They do
'Cause,
now.
Pam,
The girls
and-
from The Office,
yeah, the
yeah.
girls from The Office have
The
their own
girls from One Tree
podcast.
Hill. That's another show that I watched. They have a podcast too.
One Tree Hill. I forgot what I was gonna say, but yeah, I guess at number 2, he has Scrubs. You can watch it on Hulu if you have not seen it yet. Let me know. I have yet to see it. But yeah, and right before we get to number 1, again, I am going to remind the shit out of you to like and subscribe and comment down below so far if you agree or disagree with our top 5 list and what your top 5 is. That'd be great to know. We can have a little cool discussion, debate. I can tell you you're wrong in the comment section.
Yes,
Um,
I'm very ready to tell you how wrong you all are in
yes.
the comment section.
If you put Walking Dead at 1, I'm going to slap the shit out of you. Oh, yeah, so we're at number 1. And this was an easy pick for me. When I was making this list, I put this at number 1 immediately because I stand by it. It's been a decade since it's been out. It is called Falling Skies. It was a TNT original series. It is on HBO Max now. You can binge watch it there. It's been done for about 7 years now, something like that. It's been a while. It was right around the
That
time.
came out, 2010?
Yeah. So, yeah, it had 5 seasons.
2011, 12,
2015.
something like
yeah.
that. 2011,
Yeah.
10, 12.
So, yeah, basically the concept of the show was a post-apocalyptic world, but it wasn't zombies. It was aliens. And you see this dad who was a history teacher with a bunch of other average Joes that's trying to survive in the apocalypse, have their own little makeshift militia, and they just try to survive the whole apocalypse. I just thought it was a really original and refreshing concept. When I saw the show, I was really young. I was like 11 or 12 when it came out, so I'm going off an older memory, and it was just really good. I had no complaints about it. Like, it was around the time when Walking Dead came out. It was just original concept, very fresh. There was really no comparison to it. I've yet.
I think
to
a good
see.
comparison you did say, I think, was Walking Dead. I mean, they had different, like villains and main I wouldn't say they had different end goals, but I think they were similar. Like, I think that's why people like Falling Skies. It was kind of like Walking Dead. It was like a group, a dad protecting his kids.
Yeah.
Looking for one of his sons.
But it really, I guess, I mean, they only had 5 seasons. Walking Dead's about to have their 10th or 11th now. And
I think it was just on TNT too. So
yeah, and I was going to say, it stays grounded, but they do have that benefit of having shorter seasons. Walking Dead could be grounded only for so long for being on cable.
yeah, Falling Skies was 10 episodes, right? Each one.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, I think it was 10,
maybe
12, yeah, or something like that. I know it wasn't more than like 15.
No.
But I agree, Falling Skies very underrated. I don't know about number 1, but very good show, especially for TNT. They're not known for having the best series, especially to go 5 seasons on TNT. I think it's quite impressive. The main character was really good. He also played the librarian.
Yeah, I was about to bring that up. Like I remember towards the end of
he's
the
in
series,
the movies, and he's in they have a librarian show where I think they do one season where he's in it. I watched that.
Well, yeah, I remember like they were promoting the hell out of that
The
towards
show,
the wrap
towards
up.
the end, yeah. I watched that. It was okay. The movies were okay as well. They're B.
Oh, he had a movie. He was.
Yeah, he was the librarian in the movie. There's like 5 librarian movies. They're like TNT movies.
Oh, okay.
And then that were made before Fallen Skies. Like,
okay, I figured. I was about to ask. Yeah.
And then they did a show after.
What
Fallen
is the
Skies.
librarian about?
It's kind of like some I wouldn't even say. I don't.
It
I guess
seems
Harry Potter,
mythical.
but it's like in the sense like Green Lantern, where like somebody shows up and they're like, "You're the librarian now," and it's this library with like all the crazy artifacts, and like he's in charge of protecting them. And going out into the world and getting other artifacts that need to be brought back into the library. Okay. So like he's in charge of like stopping magic shit happening.
Okay.
It's pretty interesting. Like I said, it's low budget TNT movie basically. Yeah. I think there's 3 or 4 of them. He does a good job.
They poured all their money.
Yeah, he does a good job. Like I said, I like Fallen Skies. To get back on Fallen Skies, I thought Fallen Skies was very interesting. That was one of the few shows I watched.
I watched it week
nightly.
By week.
Yeah, I watched it week by week. I remember. I think one of the seasons I had to binge watch because I was busy that year. That day when it was coming out, but for the most part, I was up that night watching it. I thought it was a really interesting storyline. Anything aliens and post-apocalyptic, you got me. I'm definitely gonna give you a try. So if you
there really hasn't been a show
we're talking about with aliens. I said V. I like that. That was on NBC. It was like that. Well, and then V though, it was aliens showed up and they said they were good, like they were helping mankind.
Okay.
They were helping mankind, but like some people thought they weren't, and things like that. It was that was an interesting one too, but it got canceled. But good. Fallen Skies for a TNT show, I thought was great. I do think it's very underrated. I'd have to think.
What else has been on there?
Yeah, I don't know. That's why I have to see a list. There was a show that used to come on after. Was it The Last Ship? It was okay.
Something like that.
It was all right. But Fallen Skies, very good show. Main character was dope. I thought the ending was pretty good.
Tom Mason, that's what his name is.
Tom Mason. Yeah. I thought the ending was really good. They wrapped it up pretty nicely, I thought. And definitely worth the watch. And if it's on HBO Max, most of us got that, so I definitely recommend it.
Yeah, I would highly recommend it. I can't praise this show enough. It still stands in one of my favorite shows of all time in general. So clearly I'm going to put it at number 1 for my bias. But even nowadays, usually like you heard throughout this episode, like a delayed effect or something like that. The second the show ended, it was like, all right. And that's it. Like no one's ever brought it back, or I haven't seen any clips or any talk or any type of social media presence as a delayed effect or something like that. And it's really a shame. So I did really want to highlight this because it was a fantastic show. And I would love to have an interview with Tom Mason, or the guy who played Tom Mason, I should say.
Anybody, the writer, director, anybody, shout out.
Yeah.
Let us know if you like Fallen Skies in the comments below.
Oh my God, it was so amazing.
Maybe honestly. We'll do just if enough people like it or make it, maybe we'll just do a Fallen Skies episode.
A little breakdown, that'll be fun. I have to rewatch it.
Maybe rewatch it. I haven't seen it in a while, but I definitely agree with Tom. I like I said, maybe not number 1 for me. Obviously, it's not number 1 for me, but I do think that's an underrated show that people definitely worth to watch if you just like good writing, interesting stuff, and you're bored.
And there really wasn't much filler because it had short amount of episodes. Like there was probably some parts you didn't care about, but that's your bias.
And that's again, like to me, filler is like it has nothing to do with the story, like at all. Like if this is a story, if the show is about aliens and the post-apocalyptic, and you're doing something that pertains to that, I don't even think it's filler. Like I said, Supernatural, people would say it has filler, but to me, it's not filler because the show is about 2 brothers hunting supernatural things, and any filler episode of Supernatural is them just hunting something. Yeah. So I think that's why Supernatural is successful, because they don't have any filler, because even their filler episodes are what people are tuning in to see.
Oh, sorry. Excuse me, guys.
All right. What, number 1 for me now?
Yeah. Sean will
All right. We'll close us off. My number 1 show is Smallville. It's a story about Superman's life in Smallville, Kansas, before he actually becomes Superman. The last episode is actually the episode he puts the cape on, so at no point in the show is he actually Superman.
He's just Clark.
Yeah, he's Clark. Well, eventually when he moves to Metropolis, they call him the Red Blue Blur because he moves. He's so fast you can only see him.
Red
and
Blue
he wears red. Like they foreshadow the whole 10 seasons. All he wears is red and blue.
Yeah,
like
I remember that.
A flannel. He's a little farm boy. He's always got on like a red or a blue flannel.
Yeah, I saw that. And then like with I remember they had the Green Arrow on there.
He's always wearing green. Flash always had on red.
Aquaman had orange.
Yeah,
I
like
saw that.
I think that was a good thing. But I think Smallville was the OG superhero show. I think it showed there was Clark and Kent, which is another Superman show even before that. But I think it showed how successful a superhero show could be. To roll back into filler, I think it was the same thing. It was 10 seasons, 20 episodes each. I think there's 217 episodes. So some of them were 22, some were 23, 24. But I think there's 10 seasons, 217 episodes. Obviously, there's going to be some filler. But like I said, it's quality filler where the filler episode is Superman saving somebody.
Right.
So it might not be about the plot, but it's what you're tuning in to see anyway. So that's why people went along. I watched that a lot, episode by episode, for 10 years. Like I said, it's the OG superhero show. I think it set a path for a lot of these shows and place. It got 10 seasons. Hate it or love it, you don't get 10 seasons without being quality.
I agree.
Especially an hour-long show on a major
was it an hour?
Yes, it was
Holy
an hour-long
shit.
show on a major network.
I'm not surprised though. Arrow's an hour. Flash is still an hour.
Yeah, I mean,
Jesus.
Yeah, but I don't think there'll be any of those shows without Smallville.
I agree.
And I think Tom Welling played a great Superman. As much as Henry Cavill looks like Superman, I think Tom Welling and him look like brothers. So I thought, to me, Tom Welling will always be Superman. Was very interesting writing. Like I said, it was Superman's life, girl drama. You know what I mean?
Like
going
high
to
school,
school,
yeah.
going through stuff. But I would say it's worth a watch. I know it's hard to promote. Like I said, that 217 episodes, 44 minutes each. What's an hour show? Usually 44 minutes. That is a lot. That's a big commitment.
Yeah.
But like I said, one of my favorite shows, number one to me, most
He
underrated.
was in Crisis on Infinite Earths. I remember that.
He was in one of them. Oh, yeah, that was the only one I watched because they said he was going to be in it. He only had a small part, but like I said, I thought.
But they were throwing everyone in.
Yeah,
there.
I thought they really dropped the ball, not getting him to do more Superman stuff. Maybe he just got tired of it. I think a lot of times you play something for 10 years, and you're like, I don't want to be Superman anymore.
You don't just.
And not, like I said, he hasn't said this. I've seen him say how much he misses it and loves it, but I bet you he regrets not just like leaning in. Like,
yeah,
you know what I mean? Sometimes, like, you know what I mean? You did the Harry Potter movie, you're Harry Potter now. Like,
yeah, but like I think what it is with those, like, that's a great example. Bruno was like, with those guys, you play it consecutively for so long. Of course, you're gonna start feeling like, I say a negative. I think it's a strong word, but like
they also shot it in the British Columbia and Canada, so
okay.
I'm assuming you're tired of being there.
Right, yeah. So I assume at some point after a decade of doing the same thing, you're like, I want to do something different. And obviously, you're gonna miss it long term.
I'd love to have Tom Welling on the show, or
oh my god,
I'm a DM Michael Rosenbaum. He's got his own podcast. It's
Look at
very
that
great.
flash,
Shout out
honey.
him. He does a good. He interviews like everybody who ever did a TV show on the CW. Like Arrow, Flash, everybody.
Oh, Stephen Amell, I want you. You gave me an autograph at C2E2 when I was 14. I still have the Green Arrow sign. So if you want to come on the podcast too, I'll stand you. I follow you on TikTok too. Yeah, so your TikTok's amazing. So yeah, write that up there. Do you got anything else to say?
No, that's it. Smallville. If you're bored and you have 217 hours to spare.
So basically, any of you jobless assholes.
Yeah.
Um,
But like, subscribe, comment. Any shows you think we should do.
There you go.
If you think Smallville sucks, you'd be wrong. But hey, we want negative and positive comments alike. If you think we're wrong, you think we're right. What shows you think should be up on there? And what episodes you think we should do next?
Yeah, let us know. Yeah, recommend us some ideas. Like I said, we have a list of ideas, but we would love to hear from you guys. Obviously, we want to entertain the audience. At the end of the day, this is about you guys. We enjoy doing this, but the biggest part is to make sure you guys are entertained, and that is our number one priority. So yeah, let us know in the comments if you agree that 100 is trash and should be burned in rotten hell. But other than that, I'm Tom. This is Sean. Leave a like and subscribe, and we're out, guys. See you next week. Peace out.